Knowles on the News. Susan Knowles.
And welcome to the program, everyone. I'm your host, Susan Knowles, and I'm doing my special segment today called Knowles on the News. And as I started last week, I'm also doing it again this week. You will be able to watch the video of the show. If you just go to YouTube and type in Susan Knowles, you'll be able to see the program there. So I hope that will help you. I know a lot of people have wanted to have the videos and not just the audio, so here is your chance. You know, I want to talk to you a little bit. I know we talked last week some about the bathroom bill, and I want to touch on it today, but I don't really want to spend a lot of time talking about it because I really talked a lot about it last week. But I want to bring it up this week for a couple of reasons. First of all, I think it's important for us all to know, and I think by now probably many of us do realize that this administration has done a lot of things where they've passed countless numbers of laws that are unconstitutional. And yet we've done nothing about that, but we all know that it's been unconstitutional. And this transgender bathroom bill is no exception. Now, why do I say that? Well, the executive branch cannot make law and cannot amend the law. As you know, President Obama came out recently under Title IX and told all public schools that if they want to continue getting federal dollars, yours and my money, that they will need to allow all students, all transgender students who want to use whatever bathroom, that they have to be allowed to use the bathroom of their choice. Now, they are, again, 0.3% of the population. My question is right away is, okay, why can't I use the bathroom of my choice? And you're discriminating against me, and you're discriminating against everyone else, but that doesn't seem to be a problem. But again, he's come out and used this law and amended it to have it include transgender and bathroom use. He's also done that with the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and I guess you could say, well, technically he didn't, but his African-American DOJ did. Basically, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was all about granting equal rights to African Americans. And yet, really, if you look at it, this DOJ has done something that I feel is very disgusting. If I were African American, I would be outraged. That basically that you would take something as important as desegregation, as equal rights of African Americans, and then add to the, but wait, now we're going to make this about transgenders going to the bathroom, and whichever bathroom they want to go to. I just don't remember desegregation and the civil rights era and Dr. Martin Luther King. I don't recall that being about a black person's right to choose whatever bathroom they wanted to choose. That really wasn't the fight. It was much more important than that. And yet we're now saying, oh no, this is about transgenders' rights, 0.3% of the population. We're gonna ease that into the Civil Rights Act of 1964. You know, they're grasping at straws, but that's what they do, and they just insert something and then hope that nobody cares. The sad thing too is that probably no one will challenge this, or it'll be a very long time before somebody files a lawsuit to challenge him on amending the law and once again doing something that is unconstitutional as the President of the United States. But if we don't challenge the federal government on the things that they do, then where does that leave us? Well, a lot of people are saying, well, we hope that Donald Trump will get in, and Donald Trump is going to change all of these things. Well, you have to hope then that Donald Trump gets in, and then secondly, you have to hope that he feels the same way that you do about this issue. Now, remember, he told anybody who was transgender they could use whatever bathroom they chose to use in the Trump Towers, and we in fact know that looking at video, Caitlyn/Bruce Jenner has gone into Trump Towers, and I believe she used the women's bathroom. So you don't know necessarily what he would do with that if he got in. Would he dismiss it? Would he just say, let's just leave it the way it is? Whatever. You know that if Hillary gets in, she is going to expand that to, oh my gosh, I don't even know. She'll probably try to make that the law in your own home. Nothing would surprise me about her. She is Obama on steroids. She really is. So if she got in or Bernie got in, that law would definitely stay and it would be expanded upon. I think there are people like the ACLJ with Jay Sekulow. Thank God for people like him. Thank God for his organization. Because without him, there would probably not be very many challenges to many of the laws that the president has enacted that are totally unconstitutional. But he's taken the time and the effort to go out and fight for our rights. And I so appreciate that, and I know that you do too. But I want to tell you, this whole time that we've been focused on the loss of rights in the bathroom, and what do I mean by the loss of rights? What I mean, you and I both know this has nothing to do with transgenders going to the bathroom. Transgenders have been going to the bathroom wherever they've chosen, or they've been able, let's say if they haven't chosen where they wanted to go, they certainly have gone to the bathroom, and or for all these years, it's never been a problem, at least that we know of. And I give them benefit of the doubt. They maybe have problems every now and then. I would imagine that they do. But what this is really about is preventing heterosexual males who are acting inappropriately, who want to go in and harm your children and harm females in their restroom, a place where females should be going in the female bathroom and men should be going in the male bathroom. I mean, it's simple, right? But the agenda also is to break down Christian family values. The only thing that stands between us and total chaos are the Christian values. Because once you get beyond the Christian values and they're gone, you've got communism, you've got chaos, you've got socialism, Marxism, whatever you want. We know this president was raised as a Marxist, as a communist, and had mentors who were communists. Communists believe in doing what feels good. Free sex, whatever you want to do. Sex with anybody and however many, and there are no parameters. There are no morals associated with things. There's really no law legalities associated with many things. They want to break down the family, get rid of Christianity, and have communism or whatever other thing that they could think of, progressivism, totally be what rules. No more God, no more Christianity, no more morals, no more principles. Do what feels good, and do what you want to do. Okay, that's where we're headed. But on top of that, there's been something else going on that we weren't aware of because we were so busy and so focused on a bathroom bill. Now, what do I mean by that? What am I talking about? What were we focused on, and what should we have been focused on? Okay, so do you remember, think back about, just a few months back, when we had just this wonderful diplomatic, I don't know what you want to call it. It should have been a business trip, a diplomacy, but it was more like a vacay. Remember, when all the Obamas got together, let's see, Michelle, the girls, I think it was Michelle's mother went. I mean, I don't know. Everybody was going to this for this little vacation. It was when Obama and his family, the entourage, and everybody and his uncle went to Cuba because it was so important. Going to Cuba, getting the relations with Cuba back in order, with this president, so he could have some type of legacy to say, well, look at what I did. I've done so much, but I'm so proud of this one. So look at what I've done. So during this little vacation, there happened to be, kind of a little inconvenience. And that is, there was a terrorist attack in Brussels. And I think that everybody wanted this to go so well. So we couldn't break away. We couldn't go to Brussels. We couldn't go to a funeral. I think maybe he sent Biden. I don't remember. I try not to watch anything that Biden does or anything that Obama does. But he couldn't break away. And in fact, he couldn't even take a moment of silence, really, and kind of remember the families and say prayers for those in Brussels, because he was at a ball game. You remember? Woo, he's doing the wave. Wow, I'm at a ball game. I'm here with the Castros, and I'm just having a great old time. And the whole world looked on in disgust. Like, how could the President of the United States be sitting there at a ball game, yucking it up, when people have died in Brussels because of a terrorist attack? Another embarrassment around the world that I think most people here in the United States have just gotten used to seeing. But once again, a total embarrassment to our country to see him sitting there doing that while there's been a terrorist attack. Now, I mean, of course, he's typically the one who never calls on the fact that, oh, well, there was a terrorist attack. It's always something that a little shooting that happened, and it was just a workplace violence or something like that. Don't worry. Don't look at the elephant sitting in the room. Just go on about your business, and we'll take care of it. Oh, gosh, look at how they play ball over here in Cuba. Isn't this great? Okay, so while we were focused on the bathroom bill, let me just tell you what happened. Cuban immigrants are streaming to the United States this year, with more people having arrived in the U.S. in the first 2 months of 2016 than all of 2014. An analysis predicts the 2016 figure, which stood at 25,806 through February, could end up being more than 3 times the 2015 number. Now, the number of Cubans entering the United States hit 13,014 in 2007. It dropped a little bit in 2009 to 7,054. I guess Obama hadn't quite gotten his feet wet yet, and, he couldn't go over and start doing things. It was his first year in office. So he had to wait till now, 8 years later, and at the very end here, let's pull out something that we can talk about and say that we did. The number has risen every year since, with 24,277 coming in 2014, and in 2015 there were 43,154 Cuban refugees that came to this country. At the current rate, sit down because you're going to need to. But at the current rate, there could be more than 150,000 Cubans that come to the United States in 2016. Now, it's weird because I thought we weren't going to allow things like that. Remember back when, let me take you back, when Bill Clinton was president and Janet Reno was his U.S. Attorney General. And remember Ilian Gonzalez? And that one picture you'll never forget. If you've seen it once, you just never forget that picture. It's like a whole SWAT team, coming into the grandparents' and aunt's home to take this boy back to Cuba at gunpoint. And the guns were basically, this rifle was pointed right in this kid's face. And his mother risked her life and lost her life trying to get him over to the United States so that he could be free and he could be raised in this country. So when everybody supposedly now can just come over, 150,000, what happened then? Okay, to different times, whatever, I suppose. All right. But let's not forget that moment under Janet Reno. And taking that boy back to Cuba and having him raised there and basically put up on a pedestal because they were going to brainwash him. And they did. And now he's like the eye of Cuba. Everybody loves him. Well, now guess what, Ilian? You can come right on back over and see those relatives that you haven't seen for years. Just walk right on in because everybody else is coming in. And not only that, get this in your head too. There's been talk that he wants to bring 10,000 Syrian refugees over right away. And that number has since really increased to about 100,000. And he's going to put them in places where people won't want them to be. Okay? Because, see, he's got a I'm going to just shove it in your face type attitude now. And that's what's coming next. So prepare yourself. If you thought the Central American refugees were bad, prepare yourself. So there's 150,000 plus maybe Cubans, plus maybe 100,000 more of Syrian refugees coming to the United States in 2016 before Obama gets out of office, if he gets out of office. I mean, it blows your mind. And now we're finding out there are reports now that those people the Syrian refugees that are in Minnesota, I read an article that said basically that those people may now have TB. I mean, that's not unusual. We have a lot of people coming over here, like from Central America. I believe some of those people that came over had TB. We're going to have diseases that we haven't had in a long time, and we're going to have new diseases because that's what happens when you bring in new people to a country. And people are sitting around. Some people are saying, this is great news, bring the refugees, bring them all in. Obama wants them all to come in because he wants to continue the transformation of America, to have a Democrat in office for the rest of the time that the world is in existence. But I think also he just wants to take away every smidgen of value, morals, principles, customs, whatever you want to call them, in the United States. He wants to remove them. And what better way to remove them than to bring in people who really don't want to assimilate? Now, I don't know about the Cubans, but the Syrian refugees, the ones that believe in Islam, they do not want to assimilate. And I know we've been told that over and over. Oh, it's a peaceful religion of Islam. But if you've ever read the Quran, and I've read parts of it, there is nothing peaceful about the words that I'm reading. And for those people who are staunch supporters of the word of Islam, their goal is to either have you assimilate into their religion and culture, or be done away with. We'll make it a nice little euphemism, being done away with. So, again, we need people like Jay Sekulow and his organization, the ACLJ. And I hope if you're looking for an organization to give money to, I've said this before and I'll say it again, I can't think of a better organization that protects the rights of Americans than the ACLJ.org. And a great place, great organization to give your money to. So I hope you'll go and check them out. Check them out on Periscope, and they also come up in the Facebook mentions a lot of times. Every day, I think the program is. I'm not sure about Friday, but I watch every now and then. And the work that they are doing amazing work. We need more organizations like that that are interested in taking care of America. So in other news today, the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee Chairman, now there's a title for you, Jason Chavettz of Utah. He's Republican of Utah. He's introduced a resolution to censure the IRS commissioner. And he says, I view this censure as a precursor to impeachment as it allows the House the opportunity to formally condemn him. He said that it urges him to resign instead or be removed by President Obama. Okay, let me say that again. He can resign or choose to be removed by President Obama. So I don't see him resigning because he knows he's not going to be removed by President Obama. I mean, to me, this is kind of like another one of those things that the GOP likes to do to show, hey, you know, we are earning our keep. We're out here doing what we're supposed to do. I don't see this going anywhere. And this resolution was offered days before the House Judiciary Committee is set to hold a hearing to examine his alleged misconduct concerning Congress's investigation into allegations that the IRS improperly targeted Tea Party groups. The findings are going to be presented at the hearing, and again, you know, I could just sit here and go blah, 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 you know, because I don't see anything at all coming out of this. You know, and pushing this action of impeachment. Again, nobody's going to do anything. And nobody does anything. This is just show. This is, again, and maybe, you know, the congressman has good intentions. I'm not saying that. But it never goes anywhere. It just goes to the House. It won't pass in the Senate. It'll just die. That's what happens every time. And we're just doing this because, you know, here comes the elections coming up. We want to make ourselves look great. We want you to be happy with us. And so we're going to pretend to be doing something because we know that you want us to do something. So, you know, big deal is what I say, big deal. It's the same old stuff. Nothing new ever happens. We never accomplish anything. I mean, I would like to have a count, really, of how many times we've been through the same process and bringing things up and never getting anywhere with it. I think we'd all be kind of shocked if we really saw the figures on that. And not shocked in a good way, of course. So don't hold your breath. I don't think anything's going to happen. This will just go away like Benghazi, like the email scandal, like Lois Lerner, whatever. It's just one more thing that's going to go away. And for all of you out there, you know, who are staunch Trump supporters, these are the types of things that, of course, you know, you will want him to do. Now, whether he will have, again, the ability to do so. Is he going to be like Obama? Is he going to come in and just overlook any type of powers of the executive branch and just do what Obama does and just start creating laws? I think that a lot of you would be fine with that. I'm not fine with it. I'm a constitutionalist. I don't like those type of things, but I understand your way of thinking on that. And I would really like to go back and see how much the GOP has not accomplished in the past 8 years compared to other times when the GOP has had the majority in the House and the Senate. And I think it's just laughable. I mean, I guess there has been a time, but I don't remember a time, and I would love to see the stats on that. Because I think if you did, then every one of us would say, you know what, you can go home now. We're going to elect somebody that is going to put forth a little bit of effort into what they're doing. I hear a lot of talk. Like, I hear a lot of talk with the veterans issues, but I don't see a lot of action. I hear, oh, we're going to do this, that, and the other, and the Congress is going to get in there and help. did lend some support and help with the veterans, okay? And I see all that. It sounds great. Some things get done, but it doesn't affect the overall picture. Because apparently, if you work for the VA, you are you have immunity towards everything. You're not going to get fired. You're not going to go to jail for the same things that you and I would be going to jail for. That's not going to happen. And if you work for the federal government and you're a Democrat, apparently you're not going to go to jail either. So, don't get me started on the Hillary thing. Don't get me started. Let's move on to other news. Trump just unveiled his list of 11 potential Supreme Court justices. He plans to vet them to fill the seat of late Justice Antonin Scalia. That's assuming that, Trump is the next president of the United States. His picks, and you probably won't know any of these people. I don't think I'm going to know that many of these people. And if I do know their names, then I'm not going to know how good they are or if they're moderate or conservative. And this is something I'm sure as time goes by, he's going to know. The media may or may not tell us. I'm sure the Democrats will tell us how horrible they are. And the more that I hear the Democrats tell us how horrible they are, the more I will know that that's the person I want to see on the Supreme Court. As I've told you before, it was a total disappointment to a lot of people. It was something that I expected. With Justice Anthony Kennedy, he was a law professor at the law school that I was attending at the time, and he was the third choice for that position. And he has been, everybody said, well, he's a moderate. Well, maybe he started out as a moderate, but he certainly has gone over to the left. So any of these people better be so spot on hardcore conservatives, or we're going to end up having somebody move, to the moderate position. We need somebody who's going to be like Antonin Scalia and totally uphold the Constitution and conservative values. As long as these conservative values are still existing, they seem to be every day just more and more going away. And pretty soon, the young people that are being raised won't remember what conservative values are, and the next generation will have no idea. When you say conservative, they will have a totally different definition in their minds than what we have now. But some of the picks include Stephen Colloton, Colloton of Iowa, Allison Eid, E-I-D. I can tell you right now they have hard names to spell and say, of Colorado, Raymond Gruender of Missouri, Thomas Hardiman of Pennsylvania, Raymond Kethledge of Michigan, Joan Larson of Michigan, Thomas Lee of Utah, William Pryor of Alabama, David Strauss of Minnesota, Diane Sykes of Wisconsin, and Don Willett of Texas. So, again, we'll just have to wait and see who these people are, how they turn out. I'm got my fingers crossed that they're going to be, again, hardcore conservatives that we can bring in and actually get some things done, maybe get some things reversed. Some of these people, as we all know in the Supreme Court, they're getting to that age. They're going to be retiring or, hopefully not dying soon, but at least retiring soon. Sooner the better for some of these people. Get them out. Get some conservatives in. But we need to make sure that we are replacing them where there is at least going to be a tipping in our balance there, tipping, not having it like it is now. It's total split. And again, I'm not sure even about the split. I think some of them are more left than they are moderate. But we need it to the scales to tip in our favor. And so we'll keep a close eye on that. So I want to get your opinion on something, too. This is something else that happened in the news. But it's been a little while that it happened. But I wanted to get a feel for what your thoughts are in this type of thing. There is I saw this on Facebook. There's a mom whose son is 14 years old. And it doesn't say what city this is in or anything else. But her son apparently is out of control. Now, I don't know if this is a single mom living somewhere. To me, it looks more like the Atlanta area, and I don't know why, but it kind of looks like it could be Chicago, though, too. I don't know. They're wearing, winter clothing, and for me, it kind of what I remember in the South. So it could be, could be California, but I don't think so. But anyway, this woman decided that her son was getting off easy. He had been in trouble with the law. Apparently, it sounds like he went to court, and he just got a couple of hours of community service. And what is he doing? Okay, maybe you're thinking, well, maybe he didn't do anything bad enough. Maybe that's all he should have gotten. According to the mom, he lies, he steals, he sells drugs, and he doesn't follow the law. And I think, in listening to her, I think she was hoping against hope that when he went to court, maybe a judge, somebody would care and say, you know what, this young man, this has got to stop. We're going to send you, for many hours of community service. We're going to have you visit the jail. I always love these shows. I don't know about you. I forget what the name of them is, but, Scared Straight, things like that. I don't know. I know that those aren't so politically correct these days. But I love it myself. I really do, because it really gives an individual, whether they're 14, 18, or whatever, gives them an opportunity to see, hey, you keep going down this road, and this is where you're going to end up at. And I think sometimes that if you see things, you're more likely to remember them. It's going to make a significant impression on your life, and you're going to remember that. And especially as a child, and I think that's where the argument would be. Some people would say, well, they're just children. You should never subject them to things like that. And you may have a point there. Some people may see that as child abuse. I think if it's done properly, that it's not child abuse. But, you can't do it to the point where it's really, so frightening and on and on and on, other things like that. But I think in this case, it may have been warranted to have this young man go into the jail and see what his future looks like, especially when he's 14 and he's lying, he's stealing, he's selling drugs. If you don't agree with the lying and stealing, maybe you will with the selling drugs. That something drastic needs to be done. That it's an intervention needs to be done that's more than just standing around and letting him have a couple of hours of community service. And it's funny how a lot of people, I've known people who have gone in and they've done things where they've stolen drugs and they've tried to break in or been an accessory to people breaking into pharmacies. And because of being female, because of being young, I don't know what the case is, the courts will let them off not only once, but time and time again. And all that does really is enable that person to go back out and do it again. Because they say to themselves, well, that's not so bad. I had to go in front of court, and yes, I was embarrassed a little bit, but I didn't have jail time. So I can go in there again, and I'm going to get some judge that's going to be sympathetic to me, and I can probably talk my way out of things again. Hopefully I don't get caught, but if I do, I can just talk my way out of it. And they do. And again, like I said, sure enough, they're right back there again because they know they can get away with it. Well, what happened with this kid, this 14-year-old, when he didn't get what this mom thought he needed in order to turn his life around, she decides, I'm going to take him out. I'm going to be outside. He's going to have a big poster. And on that poster, it's going to say, I lie, I steal, I sell drugs, and I don't follow the law. And I'm going to make him stand there, and everybody who drives by can see him. Now, I know that a lot of people are sitting there going, oh, my gosh, that's humiliating, that poor child. He'll never get over this. Well, I don't know. Would it be better for him to have a little bit of public humiliation, if you want to call it humiliation, to stand out there and have to own up to what he's done? Or do you allow him to continue to commit crimes and end up in a prison or dead or beaten up, whatever the case may be? And some people, my gosh, were so incensed. Now, they didn't stop by and say, Mom, how can we help you turn this kid around? How can we help you turn your son around? No. They didn't do that. But they did stop because they were so concerned. They wanted to help out. What did they do? Well, they called the police. Because, again, here is this mom sitting here, and she's abusing her child. It's obvious. Can't we all see that? She's abusing her child out in public, and she needs to be arrested. And this poor kid needs to be taken off to CPS so he can be protected. Don't get me started about CPS. But anyway, luckily, and again, I think this must have been a southern town or someplace, because the police are saying, you know what, Mom, we're not going to stop you from doing this. You have every right to have your son stand there with a sign all day long if you choose. If that's what's going to take to help turn him around, go for it. You're not abusing him. You're not doing anything wrong. He's your child, and you can make that decision whether or not he stands there. I personally think that she did the right thing. I mean, I feel sorry for some of these people who are maybe single moms who have kids, and I feel sorry for the kids too. I really do. I feel sorry on both sides. But I think, people have to do something to give consequences to their children to ensure that they have a chance in this life. I really wish, and some people may say, you know what, it's her responsibility. It's her child. If she's a single mom, well, tough luck. Well, we can say tough luck if you'd like, but I don't feel like that. But I also think the long-term impact is going to be on us, because these are potentially going to be the people who are breaking into our homes. These are carjackers, committing other crimes, whatever the case may be, if they don't get their lives turned around. And I really wish that more churches, more organizations would get involved, more big brothers would get involved, more big sisters if it's a young girl, because I think we've gotten to the point that it is, as a nation, as a society, the problem has become ours whether we like it or not. And I really like seeing parents like this woman take initiatives. Just like I remember the woman, the African-American woman during, I don't know if it was Ferguson, which riots they were, they all kind of blend together, but she was there taking her son and kind of basically pulling him around by his coat and saying, "You're coming home with me, what are you doing here?" She was yelling at him. And people, what do? They criticize her. Oh, you're abusing your son, that poor baby. You're making him, you're humiliating him. You're doing something wrong. You shouldn't be doing that. Really? That woman turned her son's life around. I've seen things recently where she turned it around for him. If she'd not done that, that kid would have been out there in every protest. That kid would have been out there in every Black Lives Matter protest that happened to come in town and want to be at a Donald Trump protest or whatever. I thought this was all about the lives and the rights of others with these Black Lives Matter people and these other organizations. So then why are they at Donald Trump protests doing what they're doing? Oh, I know that they're saying, oh, well, that's because Donald Trump hates black people. No, he doesn't. He's never said that he does. He's never said anything about a specific race other than we need to sort of slow down the immigration until we find out if they're properly vetted, things of that nature. So the Black Lives Matter has become very political. It's not about caring about the lives of black people anymore, not what I'm seeing. It's about protesting and shutting down free speech. That's all it is. Because if you cared about black people's lives like you say you do, then you'd be out there spending your time focused on helping this woman, this mom, and other women and other men who have children that need help. And I'm not for just Black Lives Matter. I'm for all lives matter. I'm one of those people. So why don't you spend your time out there helping other people, all people that need your help? If you want to spend your money and time on something that's important, rather than going to Donald Trump protests or, his rallies and protesting there, why don't you spend your time actually helping people and putting your money where your mouth is, instead of just trying to cause an inability for people to have free speech anymore, in shutting down free speech, in disrupting everything that you can. Why don't you do something positive for your change? Now, there was something else that happened again in San Diego that I wanted to talk to you about. I don't understand what's going on here, and maybe you can, maybe you know a little bit more about it. But a bomb threat was carved into the wall of a portable toilet at the Naval Base San Diego. Again, okay? This has been the 19th time that somebody has either carved into a wall or written a note or whatever about a bomb threat at that Navy base. And yet we have not caught this person. We can catch anybody, anywhere, anytime, it seems, but we can't catch the person who is making bomb threats at this Navy base. Now, I think, that I've said to you before, because this person seems to get away with it, either they work there, they know the layout of the place really well, there's some reason that they're not getting caught. It says this time the message was spotted around 8:10 a.m. on the inside wall of a toilet on Pier 7. Ship maintenance was halted, and the pier, along with Piers 6 and 8, were evacuated and closed. Does a person work there on the pier? Is this somebody who comes in to build things, and that's why they're there? I mean, I don't know. And then they reopened around 11, and of course they found absolutely nothing. And as I said, it was the 19th time that this base has been targeted since November. And the 4th time this month. I know a guy that works there. He's in the military. And basically he said, it's not a joke, but it's almost like a running joke, because it's like, oh, okay, another threat, another bomb threat. Okay, all right, that's great. And they just kind of, move on and just don't take it seriously. It's been, after 19 times, you're kind of starting to think, well, this is a joke. That's what I would be thinking. Although, in today's world, you can't look at it like as a joke, because someday somebody might be serious. I keep asking myself, is this something where they are just doing these to see what their reactions are going to be? And maybe one day, God forbid, that it will be something that actually happens, because people don't take it as seriously as they normally would, or perhaps even should. But the person, whoever they are, they really like toilets, okay? Because the first time it was found on a portable toilet in a ship on November the 6th. 10 of the threats were found on portable toilets, on bathroom doors, or on structures inside of the ships. So in my mind, that's somebody who's either working inside the ships, or somebody who's in the military and has access to the ships. Somebody has access to the ships, obviously. And that's typically not just your everyday person off the street. So it's somebody probably working, could be working there at the Navy base, or somebody who comes in there on a regular basis to help do maintenance of some kind. So, I'm telling you that NSA, military police, whomever, just kind of take those tips, do with them what you will. I could be totally off base, but common sense, that would be where I would start. And I would certainly have people posted near the bathrooms, or I would set up cameras. I would do something, since we know bathrooms is where this person likes to go. And we probably don't even know if it's a male or female, because, with porta potties, there are no male and female porta potties. Unless Obama passes a law, and those that we don't know about changes that, so we can make another law that can unchange the law, whatever. It says 7 were found on portable toilets on piers, and the locations of 2 threats were not specified. Why is that? Because they were in a bathroom that really would tell you what sex they were, because it was either a male or female toilet, and before the passing of the transgender toilet bill. I mean, something has to be done. It says special agent in charge says that threats of this nature are serious offenses. Absolutely they are. Requiring a significant response from law enforcement and enhancement to our force protection measures. We continue to work this investigation with full confidence in identifying and prosecuting the individual or individuals responsible to the fullest extent possible. I hope so. I hope they find this person, and I hope they find them quickly. Because again, what kind of work environment are you in as well when you have to go to work every day? Our military and the civilians at these Navy bases and in the hospitals, being there and having this, obviously something is wrong mentally with this person that they would do something like this in the first place. But having this person continuously, 19 times, again, that shows you when a person has ill intent, when you don't catch them, when they're not stopped, it reinforces what they do. It reinforces their behavior. It emboldens them. And we have more and more times. Who knows? It sounds like this guy is pinpointing just this one base. So, again, why? My questions would be, why this one base? And to me, I see it as a convenience that this person is already there. And for whatever reason, this person likes to make these threats on bathroom walls. Maybe that's so you can't see them. When you go in it, you're not in a crowd. You're not leaving a note somewhere where there might be cameras. Typically in a bathroom, you're not going to have cameras in that bathroom. And this person knows that. So it's a way to go in there privately, leave these messages, and then leave. So, again, is this person dangerous, or is this person playing a game? What is it? And obviously, the law enforcement, military, and the FBI, and whoever else is involved, they can't take the chance that this person maybe is just, mentally ill or is just joking. At this point, I don't think it's a joke. There's been too many times that this has happened. It's certainly not a joke. But what this person is trying to do, I have no idea. But it's obviously very disturbing, and this person has to be stopped. I just fear that it could be part of a larger type thing where people are just trying to find out how is the military going to respond? How is the government going to respond? How quickly do they respond? We have a lot of individuals out there that are looking to do us harm with ISIS and everything else, and you just never know who is going to do something, and we need to. I think there's a $10,000 reward out for this person now, individual or this one particular person. I don't know. If you're looking to make $10,000, maybe somehow get on the base legally. Maybe you work on the base, hang out around the bathrooms. I think it's probably one of the safest bets that's how you're going to earn $10,000. Of course, I'm being facetious with that, but again, this person really needs to be stopped. This is a dangerous individual who knows what he or she might do beyond this. Again, if you keep emboldening somebody, does that mean they up their game? Do they step it up? Do they actually do it? Do they do something else? It's been since November. I think we're running short of time here on getting this person caught before they do something even more serious than bomb threats. I can't think of really too many more serious things than that, but actually coming in and doing harm like they did in San Bernardino, of course, would be the worst that you can think of. And I hope and pray that nothing like that happens. And I want all the military men and women and the civilians working there at the base, just like you and me, we want to have a place that we go to that we feel safe. and this person definitely needs to be brought to justice immediately. Now, here's another article in, let's see who wrote this. It came out NBC News, okay? So this is on public schools becoming more racially segregated, according to this report. You know, with this media that is so in bed with the president and will do whatever the president wants, you know, I mean, seriously, we all know that the media cannot, the mainstream media, you can't believe what you're reading. It'll be what this administration wants. It's become a state-run paper. So this article is nothing new. With this president who tries to always divide us by race, and will do whatever he has to convince, mostly African Americans out there that it's all about race, and white people don't like you, and cops don't like you, and on and on and on. And by the way, we're back in the 1960s. Out comes another article to kind of push that agenda. Okay, here's what this article says: racial segregation has been deepening in public education, offering a sobering reminder of the nation's history when it comes to racial and economic isolation in classrooms. And listen up, according to a recent report published by the Government Accountability Office. Wow, I'm so shocked. I'm so surprised. Must be true, right? The Government Accountability Office says it was true. And it just so happened that this was published on the anniversary of the landmark ruling of Brown versus Board of Education during the Civil Rights era in the 1960s. So we're right back there. We've never moved out of the 1960s. Oh, my gosh. So the GAO found evidence of growing racial divides persisting in public education. The number of Black and Latino students enrolled in impoverished K-12 public schools increased 11% between 2001 and 2014. These schools were found to be the most poverty-stricken, minority-segregated schools in the country, with more than 75 to 100% of Black and Latino students eligible for price-reduced lunch. This parameter is commonly used as an indicator of poverty. The schools were also found to have offered fewer STEM courses and advanced placement, college prep courses. About 48% of high poverty schools offer AP courses, while 72% of low poverty schools, with a 0 to 25% of students on free, reduced lunches, offered these college level courses. These schools have higher rates of students unable to advance from the 9th grade, and on and on and on. It says the GAO's report clearly shows that the ability of African American and Latino students to access a diverse, high-quality public education is declining, and that decline is fueled by the increasing privatization of our public schools. You know, this issue has been going on since forever. Now, I can understand this issue when we were actually in the times of the Civil Rights era. I get it. Black students, for the most part, were sent to schools with black teachers, low money, etc., etc. And when desegregation came along, blacks and whites started attending the same schools, the same amount of money was spent, and the problem is solved, right? Well, apparently not. Because today we're all segregated again. No, we're not. There's so much going on here, I think, with this issue again. It's pushing and advancing an agenda. It's making us think that there is a racial inequity because of the fact of the color of skin. I think what it is, honestly, a big part of it is we have a lot of people who are at the poverty level. We have more people coming in. We have more illegal immigrants coming in who want an education. who aren't living necessarily in places where the middle class would be, because of the fact they're coming here with the shirts on their backs and they're being invited in by this president when they're ill prepared with the environment. I mean, they bring them over on buses like Central America did. They just dump them out in the streets, and they expect them to be able to take care of themselves and end up with high-quality jobs, high-quality education, and everything else. This country can't sustain what it has. And I think we need to move beyond somehow this farce, this false narrative about how we're not training or educating people in the same way. There are a lot of factors that impact a person's education, and just putting them in a better school or a school where more money is tossed to that school is not taking care of all of the issues that could be impacting a child's education and their ability to learn. When are we going to start looking at those things and quit this talk about segregation and race? I mean, all it is just racism and discrimination. It's just, again, it's pushing an agenda. It's not caring about what you claim to be caring about. You're not caring really about children and their education and if they're getting a great education. You care about pushing that progressive false narrative. Why don't you start trying to help, again, single parents who are raising children? Why don't you really try to help them? Why don't you try to educate the parents as well as the children? I mean, there are programs. You're willing to toss money out and at different programs. Why don't you start tossing money to programs perhaps that really matter and make a difference? To me, it's just like the VA. My gosh, we have been talking about how bad the VA is ever since I was a child. And it continues on, and I'll tell you what, another 50, 60 years, we'll probably be talking about the same issues unless Donald Trump comes in and does exactly what he says he's going to do in fixing the VA. Okay? Otherwise, we're going to have the same problems. We have people that need help, but we don't seem to want to help those people unless it benefits those people who have an agenda. Let's be honest about that. We could have helped people. We could have educated them. We could have helped them out of poverty, but we keep giving them things to keep them in poverty. And we act like, oh, we're such saints. We're doing such a great job. No, you're pushing your own agenda to keep people in the place where you want them to be so that you can continue to control their lives. That's what it is, plain and simple. There was a time when black people, African Americans were making headway towards, evening up the gaps in education. And what happens? Well, we introduced more social welfare programs and more programs that will enable them and not motivate them or encourage them. And that goes for Hispanics, that goes for white people, that goes for Asians, that goes for everybody. If you don't encourage people, they're never going to move beyond, because they're always going to feel less than and that they can't better themselves. We could have taken care of this problem back in the 60s, but we didn't choose to. And it's not about race. It's about an agenda. And let's be real with that. I am so tired of hearing these issues always being about race. You want to help people, then you don't care what color their skin is. You want to help people, then you go out and you spend money to help people, and you don't spend money lining your pockets so you can go out there and make up these false narratives to keep people apart. We can be one nation under God, but not when we have race baiters, not when we have people that have an agenda. So let's go out and try to help people and forget about the agendas that these people are trying to put into our heads as truth. They're not truth. We need to get back to helping people like we know that we should in a godly, compassionate way, and not have our heads filled with lies. There are a ton more problems that need to be addressed that we're not even looking at. It's been one of those frustrating days. sometimes these agenda-driven things just drive me crazy. But I want to say thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate your being here each and every day and each and every week. Until next time, take care.